Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So they're back with a Corki supplementary guide and same story as the Vayne one, which is that I technically think this is now Corki's best build. However, I feel that because I think likely TWINGUARD is gonna get nerfed for non-tank champions, I'm just gonna put it as a supplementary guide so that when it does actually get nerfed, the updated complete guide is still gonna be the most up-to-date build for Corki. So let's jump straight into it without further ado. First item, of course, general, straightforward Corki build for the first couple items. We start off with the Mana Mune, gives you ability haste the mana as well as the AD. Evolves into Mirror Mana, where it of course gives you the on-hit damage, which procs really well with your Q and your ulti. Then we go for Triforce, which of course gives you movement speed, gives you the Rage passive for more movement speed, gives you a little bit of tankiness with the health, a little bit of AD, a little bit of attack speed, as well as a chunk of ability haste. But of course we mainly get it for the Spellblade, of course in addition to everything else actually, but we mainly get it for the Spellblade. So in between casting your rockets or your Qs, you can auto attack to proc the Spellblade. Useful. The attack speed is really useful there as well. And of course just deal damage. For the boot enchant, generally I like to go for defensive boots with stasis because you generally find yourselves in bad positions after you package, so stasis comes in real handy. And defensive boots are generally the best option because it gets boosted by TWINGUARD, and also you have ability haste on here, here, and here already. Don't think you need to overkill ability haste with Ionian boots. So next up we go for Riftmaker, gives you health, gives you AP, which of course Corki does scale with as well, just not as well as AD. Gives you ability haste, and you mainly get it for the two passives. Number one, the 12% Omnivam, which Corki of course does mix damage as well as dealing true damage because of this item. So Omnivam is going to be absolutely amazing for Corki in terms of his lifesteal. And finally we got the Void Corruption passive, which of course deals true damage after 3 seconds in combat. And of course, this is going to be incredibly useful in this tank meta to, of course, just shred tanks. And then this is where we go for TWINGUARD, which of course gives you the 55 of each resistance, as well as giving you bonus 20% tenacity and 30% of both resistances after 5 seconds in combat. The only drawback being the 30% increased size. So, of course, this is going to combine with whatever defensive boots you get to, of course, get you a little bit more tanky in that aspect. And by the time you get this, you're pretty late in the game, so your defensive stats would have kind of scaled up already, and you should be very tanky by this point. Now for your last item option, you technically have, I think, like 3. So first option is GA, gives you AD, armor, and of course the resurrection. Now normally you get this only for the resurrection, but the 40 AD is really useful, and the 40 armor is going to get boosted by TWINGUARD. Also, it's going to become way more armor than 40, so that also becomes useful. Your next item option is actually Story Charge Blade. Now you don't care about the crit on Charge Blade, but what you do care about is mainly the on-hit effect. So every spell you cast, you get a charge that when you attack, procs on-hit magic damage, and this Corki can proc this really often because he spams his ulti and gets stacks non-stop. You should be auto-attacking in between anyways to proc the Sheen, and Charge Blade is just another thing that you proc for even more damage. And of course the 40% attack speed and 20 ability haste is also very helpful for Corki. So that's kind of your damage option. This is like for the revive. And finally, if you need penetration, Void Staff for the 45% magic penetration, because remember, Corki does 80% AP, so having that penetration on Void Staff is going to be really useful if you're against a team that has, like multiple TWINGUARD users or something like that. That's going to be your main option. So for the runes, Conqueror, because no other rune kind of really works with Corki. Brutal, because obviously this is a very auto attack focused build, gives you a little bit more auto attack damage. Bone Plating for the anti-burst, and here I've chosen to take Mana Flow ban because I really think that nothing much is really better. As I said, you don't need more ability haste, so this is not too useful. You can go for this if you like. Nimbus Cloak is always going to be useful, but Corki, especially in the early lane and early part of the game, you do have a very small mana pool, so I chose to go for Mana Flow ban to kind of alleviate that weakness in the early game. Of course, when you get Mirror Mana, it is going to be not too bad anymore. So Mirror Mana is going to cover up those problems, but this is just going to convert to a little bit of extra damage on the Mirror Mana. So that's all good. So for the spells, Exhaust and Flash as usual, and with all that out the way, let's just jump straight into the Corki gameplay. Okay, so jumping straight into the gameplay now, of course, again, I'm just going to drop this as a one-liner at the start. Generally, you pick Corki when your team is lacking magic damage, generally, but now in this current meta, Corki is really strong because He has true damage from Riftmaker, and he has the ability to build Amaranth Twin Guard. So you even see Corki in some games where you even like have a full on magic damage mid laner, or like a Gwen jungle or Gwen top, etc. Like sometimes you can even pick Corki in matches where your team does have magic damage, because remember, Corki with the package is still useful, Corki with Twin Guard is useful, and Corki with Riftmaker is useful. So Corki is just pretty strong in the current meta now. Probably should be S+ actually, but you know, I made a lot of quote-unquote mistakes, depending on how you want to see it, because the tier list is not very refined from when the patch came out. So we're gonna, like, of course, update the tier list when the next patch comes out, and I think that's gonna be way more accurate of a tier list. But either way, what we're doing here is we've gotten caught by the Thresh Flay, so we're gonna have to we flashed out, and now here Thresh Jhin is taking quite a bit of damage because Corki at level 2 is actually very surprisingly strong. Like, most people don't really know this, but Corki level 2 with your Gatling gun and your Q and just auto attacking normally is surprisingly effective, because at low levels, of course, your opponents have very low resistances, so the shred from Corki's E is actually very, very effective, but most people don't really know. So I've gotten many level 2 kills or level 3 kills on Corki. Yeah, so that's something not to underestimate, or that's something to take advantage of if you are the Corki player. And yeah, so here I'm with a Leona. Corki with Leona is really good, but here you guys can see why, because Leona engages, chain CCs the Jhin, and I easily just hop forward, use everything on him, and get a kill. Now the Thresh really inted his Jhin here. Like, he went off on a roam, and we could see him going off on a roam. He does go to mid, like, right now, and I don't really think anything actually happened. So he basically left his Jhin alone, and Jhin got engaged on by Leona, had no sums, because he did already exhaust me and flash forward in the previous fight, and because of that, we easily get the kill on Jhin, which of course is great. So Corki with Leona, pretty amazing, because when Leona goes in and engage, you can obviously just fly in and use everything on whoever it is that she CC'd, and it just goes pretty fine and dandy. Rest of our team, we have a like Zed mid and a Yone top. Of course, we're really lacking in magic damage. Of course, Yone does like 50-50 kind of damage, so we do have some kind of magic damage, but overall not too much. So that's why I picked Corki here. I thought it was a pretty good pick considering our team comp. So here nothing too much is happening. Thresh and Jhin is of course a pretty strong early game duo, so we don't necessarily want to really fight them all that much. If we can help it. Of course, you know, we do want to catch out the stupid mistakes that they make, like what happened just now. But aside from that, we generally don't quite really want to fight Thresh and Jhin if we can help it. But either way, we have the wave more towards our side. We're just trying to CS and see if we can get in any kind of meaningful poke on them in the meantime, which is generally Corki's trade pattern anyways. You just use your ult and your Q to just trade with your lane opponent until they're down to a certain HP threshold where you can actually kill them, and that's when you really want to go in. So here you can see I'm just playing to that. I'm tossing my Q onto the Thresh and Jhin, and I'm gonna toss my ult if I can you know, get an opportunity to. But of course the Q is way easier to hit because it's an AoE skill, unlike the skill shot ultimate. And yeah, so again, we're just keeping the wave generally into our side. Now, if Jhin really wanted to, he could really hard shove this wave, like what he's doing here, to crash it into the tower, but he hasn't really done that so far. So here I'm just, of course, picking up that wave, tank a little bit of the minions there, so I'm just going to pick up the fruit to refill my health. We're at 4 minutes, the first package is spawned, but obviously we want to wait for first dragon / herald to pick up that package. So here we just use the ult to remove the Boom Ping a little bit. Thresh flashes forward. Here I'm actually dashing away, but I can snipe out the Jhin using my my rocket, which is of course the big one in this particular moment. Here I'm trading because they're both really low. Here I'm trying to avoid getting CC'd, but don't quite avoid it. Eventually I get the kill on Thresh, get hit by the Lee Sin, and do end up dying in the end, but Master Yi trades that kill. Ahri tries to come in, Master Yi avoids the charm using his Q, and Zed goes in with the ulti and kills the Ahri. So overall on that whole exchange, I got 2 kills and an assist. Leona did die, but on the side of the enemy team, Jhin died, Thresh died, Ahri eventually died, and so did Lee Sin. So that's kind of a huge fight going in our favor right there. Of course, here you can see I have the package ready for the dragon fight. We can see Master Yi here is coming to the dragon. He's gonna farm the blue buff first. So in the meantime, we're trying to shove this wave out to get lane priority to rotate over to the dragon, which is exactly what we do. You can see that there's a ward in the pit, and there's also a control ward in the tri-bush. Lee Sin hops the wall into the pit, which is not a very intelligent move. So he has no more mobility to get out, and because of that, we easily kill him. And I'm using the package to burn down the dragon, and Master Yi actually didn't have smite here, so we're really lucky we didn't get it stolen. Here I'm flashing forward to burst down the Ahri, finish her off, and here I'm really low, so I'm backing off. Leona decides to go in under tower when I'm not there to commit anymore, and Zed can't really do anything either. He doesn't have ult, and he doesn't have ignite. He can't really do much, so not really the best decision there. But anyways, what's happened has happened. And now we are 4-1-2, doing really well. Of course, completed Mana Mule some time ago, and now we're building toward Triforce. Of course, as you guys can see here, we're spamming spells, you know, in the base to, of course, try to charge up our Mana Mule more quickly, to try to get to our Mirror Mana. Of course, the charging does take quite a little bit of time, so that's what we're trying to do in the meantime. Okay, so here, of course, what we're doing, simply just clearing the wave, is the normal procedure where ADCs remain in their lane and the whole rest of the team goes for the Herald fight. Zed manages to steal the Herald, which is absolutely amazing. Enemy team is kind of having a bad game so far. And here I'm just going to quickly clear up the wave using all my spells, trying to get some plates if I can. We spot Jhin here, so we're just basically going to use everything on the Jhin to combine with our Sheen. You can see we chunked him instantly to below half health. He tanks the minions as well, so we're hopping forward. And we're just going to solo kill the Jhin right under the tower. Jhin severely underestimating the Corki damage. Has the nerve to step up and just try to clear the wave right in front of me, and you know, eats everything I have to offer basically and dies as a result. I even had my exhaust there, which I didn't even need to use. So because of that, we can complete our Triforce. We have our boots as well. So just of course waiting on that Mana Mule evolution, which is gonna come sooner or later. But here, my team is heralding mid, probably gonna secure the mid tower using that herald. In the meanwhile, I'm just going back over here to clear up this lane and possibly get some pushing done. We can see Thresh is in the mid lane, so we know Jhin is alone, assuming he's even in this lane, which he is. He just put a trap down right in front of his tower, 2 traps actually, so which is going to do major damage to the minions. But here we're just kind of just doing damage to the tower, seeing what we can get. We can see Ahri coming up, so I'm here saying that we should back off because we can't finish the tower either way. A lot of people end up coming, Ahri and Thresh both on the rotation. Here Leona manages to CC the Ahri, and Thresh doesn't do too much damage to me. We managed to waste enough time for Master Yi to come into the picture. I managed to finish the kill onto the Thresh. Master Yi and Leona finish the Ahri, and Master Yi goes all the way under the tower. Still on the chase for the Jhin. Ends up tanking a couple more tower shots than he probably wanted to, but we end up securing the kill with the help of the Zed. Lee Sin ends up at 1 HP. Fortunately though, he does manage to escape. I don't think I was even in range to hit that ult even if it was on target, but either way, nothing too much happens here. Here I'm using my spells to of course proc my spell blade onto the tower, as you guys can see here. So we do secure the tower, but here we kind of overcommit into a pretty bad fight here. I even dash in to get the kill on Ahri, but obviously because of that I'm gonna die. Because we're way too close to the enemy base and they can all easily reach us. And I end up giving Singe the shutdown. Singe I actually think is way better than what I rated him, by the way. I don't think he's like troll anymore. I think he's actually way higher than what I rated him in my Baron Lane tier list. Especially with the help of Searing Crown, the new burn item. So definitely going to have to readjust my tier list in the next patch. I think there's going to be quite a number of huge changes in my next tier list. Well, either way, I'm gonna head back over to the lane to continue my farming, but on the way we're gonna pick up the blue buff. Now Corki wants blue buff more so than red buff because Corki, as I've mentioned numerous times, especially in the build section, has some mana issues. So you really do want to get the blue buff so that you can of course get that mana restore. Also the ability haste is kind of helpful. So here I'm just gonna farm the Gromp. Just for a little bit more gold. Whole enemy team is basically at mid, so here I'm just going to clear out top. You can see my team is already dying at mid. Master Yi just managed to trade a kill, but he is in no man's land between 2 towers. He goes down, and not too much I can do about the situation here because I was not even in the vicinity. Alright, so here Ari oversteps a little bit. We have Yone coming in. We managed to finish off the kill onto Ari. And I do a lot of damage. Now you can see the damage I'm doing onto Singe. Pick up a double kill here, which we end up basically salvaging the situation. So we already have the Mirror Mana. I'm not quite sure when that evolution came through, but we do have Mirror Mana. We have Triforce, and we're building now towards the Riftmaker. And now with Dragon spawning, we have our next package up and available. So here we're going to take our next package and head on over to the Dragon. Unfortunately though, Yone does die to Lee Sin. But here we're going to basically end up having a team fight at the Dragon. So here we have 2 control wards in the pit. Actually a little bit overkill, didn't notice the other one there. Here we're going to try to burst down the Dragon if possible. Charm connects onto Leona, nothing really important here. Now here, I wanted to actually package over, but you can see Singe actually grounded me using his W, of course, which end up being problematic for me. Either way, I end up picking up 2 kills onto Lee Sin and Ari. I'm really low though, so I'm here cautiously maintaining distance. Here I can easily fight the Singe though. So here you can see I exhaust Singe. I basically kite out the Singe and we pick up the kill. I was only really scared of Jin, who of course does have range and he can easily kill me. So I was pretty scared of him, but you know, he ends up dying and we get another ace. So this is a relatively smooth game. My team's continuing to push mid. In the meantime, me and Yone are working together to pick up this Rift Herald, which is just sitting on the map, unattended. And here, Yone does secure the Rift Herald. And since he got the Rift Herald, I'm going down to secure the bot lane farm. Instead, huge wave here, lots of gold for me. And yeah, so here I'm just going to pick up the gold. Another wave coming, so I'm going to pick up another wave. And I'm trying to get enough gold, of course, to buy Riftmaker on my back, which I should have enough at this point. Of course, we already have both components, so we're not too far off. We complete Riftmaker, and we're now at the 3-item power spike, also including the stasis. In this game, I chose to go for Merc Treads because number 1, there's 2 magic damage sources on the enemy team, and number 2, I can reduce the CC time of like the Jin root, the Ari charm, and Thresh hook or whatnot as well if I do end up getting hit. So here a huge wave in top, all pushing into the tower. We secure that whole wave, and yeah, so my team in the meanwhile is, in my opinion, way overextended, trying to go in on the enemy team all the way near their inhibitor tower. In the meanwhile, I'm just gonna hop on over and see if I can help out my team, but they all are already kind of dying, so I'm a little bit late here. But here Leona ends up getting grounded, ends up going down as well. Jin pops an exhaust on me, and here I dash away before Ari can charm me. I think if I got charmed there, I think I might have died because her whole team was kind of there and ready to follow up. Yone does manage to use the Herald in the bot lane though, and does manage to get the Herald charge. Doesn't manage to pick up the tower though, but he does end up dying because of that. So our whole team kind of just inting one by one here, and instead we're just gonna you know, not to care too much about that. We're just gonna continue our farming, get our blue buff. Now here the reason why I'm a little bit apprehensive is I'm not quite sure where the enemy team is, so I'm kind of just waiting for the wave to push in a little bit. In the meanwhile, I'm gonna pick up the Scuttle Crab. I really want to go for this top wave. So I see Singed in the mid lane. I'm hoping the enemy team is not here. I'm going to just quickly clear out this top wave, and then I'm gonna hit back. Now I'm not sure why I walked down here. I should have walked towards the tower, but what I fear ends up happening where the enemy team is there to catch me. I flash and try to dash over the wall, but Singe hits the flip right as I think I was already over the wall. He manages to flip me back to the other side of the wall. I'm not sure what that interaction was, but either way I do end up dying. So here my team tries to salvage the situation. Master Yi, trying his best to DPS and kill everybody, is kind of working out at the moment. And eventually, my team ends up killing everyone aside from the Jin who survived. So it ends up pretty much being a trade of 1 for 4, so I guess it's not the worst situation in the world. And also, our team is now on the inhibitor tower, and we should be able to pick up this inhibitor relatively easily. And here we end up going for the Jin as well. Jin goes down, and here I actually think that it could have been possible to end maybe if everyone actually focused the Nexus and stopped taking random tower shots here and there, but instead what's happening is the whole enemy team has respawned because we've been basically fooling around. And as a result, I'm here with the package because I expected the fight to come out. Leona tries to go in on the backline, but unfortunately there's no follow-up because our whole team is backing away and I'm not in a position to jump in on the backline. Even if I was, probably not the best idea. Here I'm gonna package out, of course, of harm's way, and here I'm just gonna try to DPS from where I am. Here you can see I have the Twin Guard completed, so here you can see I got that increased size and increased resistances. And yeah, I'm pretty much gonna take really little damage at this point. Just look at this. Or rather, not right now, but let's just take a look at how much damage I take in future fights. So here Zed goes in, gets the kill on Ari. I'm gonna try to help to DPS, and I'm gonna help to kill the Thresh. Triple kill picked up by the Zed, and yeah, pretty good outcome. So here the final dragon is gonna come up, and we are of course playing for the triple dragon win condition. In the meanwhile though, I'm gonna just quickly farm the blue buff, because as I said, Corki really needs the mana. So I'm going to quickly farm the blue buff, and while waiting for my team to show up at the dragon pit. The control ward from the last dragon fight is actually still there, so no need to replace that control ward. And here I'm just going to start up the dragon while my team kind of hits on over. We can see Lee Sin in the top lane, so I'm not too worried about the dragon getting stolen. Even put a control ward in the tri-bush, you know, just to be safe, and we do end up securing the third dragon. Right, so here you can see basically the whole enemy team in the red side jungle. Not quite sure what exactly they're doing there. But here we get mid prio, and here Amasti kind of secures the skull. Here I'm seeing if I can burst down anyone who just walks by. Unfortunately, Lee Sin has bone plating, so he's not going to get so easily bursted. Zed goes in onto the Jhin, and here I'm just blasting him, and down he goes. And we're continuing on the chase, of course being wary of CC. Here I see Singe coming, so I'm backing off a little bit. Of course I do have the Twin Guard though, so I'm really tanky. So I am, of course, not too scared of taking too much damage here. You can see I'm stepping up here into the tower range. And here I'm just, you know, I'm still blasting people. Here Twin Guard comes back on. And here I tanked like 2 tower shots, but didn't take too much damage because of the Twin Guard. I do have to pop the stasis though, because I got CC'd under the tower. And again CC'd under the tower. But you see with the Twin Guard, the tower shot didn't even do that much damage, because tower shots, of course, do physical damage. And here we end up finishing off yet another kill, and only Thresh is left alive to defend, and at this point we should be able to just end the game. You can see the power of the Amaranth Twin Guard. My health, I'm back to like 3/4 HP. Didn't take too much damage. I think I took a total of like 3 or 4 tower shots. Ends up not mattering all that much at all. Before we end the game though, we're just going to get a quick kill onto Thresh, and then we are going to finish off the game. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the gameplay. I'm gonna leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.